I'm Charlotte Robinson, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you all to our Lunch and Learn today. And thank you for being here. So as I mentioned, we want to make sure if everyone can turn off your video, that'll help to save the bandwidth. And also please set yourself to mute so that we don't get a bunch of background noise. We have a chat option. So throughout the presentation, you can put your questions into the chat option, and then they'll be discussed later in the presentation. Or if it's a simple question, Lori is going to be managing the chat responses for simple questions. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Kelly Graham, who's a registered social worker at Kelly Mental Health, to tell us how to avoid burnout and deal with the stress of COVID-19. So Kelly, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. Like Charlotte said, I'm Kelly Graham. So I work at Kelly Mental Health and I'm a therapist here. In the chat and in the videos, we also have Lori Vance, who is a therapist with Kelly Mental Health as well. She will be answering some of your questions in the chat. If you have kind of a more private personal question that you want to ask her, you can click on participants and click on her name, and you can actually just private message her directly. I will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So if you have any more general questions, we can talk about it there. I also just want everybody to kind of keep in mind that we're trying to offer as many supports as we can right now during this difficult time. We're actually starting a group debriefing and support program for places of work. So if you or your workplace are kind of interested in that, you can Facebook message us or email us for more kind of details about what that might look like. But right now we'll kind of get started on burnout and self-care. So I just have to share my screen here. My video is lagging, so I'm just going to stop the video so you just pay attention to more what's on the screen instead of trying to match up my words with my lips. All right, so today we're going to be talking about burnout, self-care, and self-awareness. This presentation was originally made for workplaces in handling burnout. However, because of the recent pandemic going on, it's important that we made this kind of accessible and relevant to everybody. So I just want to start off by talking about what everybody's going through right now. So with this pandemic going on, we're entering into our fight, flight, and freeze response right now because we know this virus is a threat, except this is a little bit harder because we can't fight it away. We can't run from it, and even if we freeze, it's not really going away. So this is kind of wreaking havoc on us physically, mentally, and emotionally because we have that looming threat there. So that response is always slightly activated. And this is creating a lot of stress, a lot of fear and uncertainty, which leads to a lot of exhaustion and depression as well. So I want you to keep this in mind because this is really what is leading a lot of burnout right now. You know, say during your daily life, you're usually at a 3 for stress-wise, 3 out of 10. Well, with this pandemic going on, you already had that 3-level stress. Well, this stress will bump you up to about a 6 or a 7, depending on that. So this pandemic is really making everybody more prone to burning out, which is why it's really important to kind of learn about it and learn steps that you can take to kind of help prevent this. So first of all, what is burnout? Well, burnout is when you're feeling depleted, feeling exhausted mentally, emotionally, and physically. I remember the first week that everything started to become serious here, I would go home from work and I would just be absolutely drained. I would sit on my couch and I would just feel physically drained and like I didn't want to do anything with the world. And I feel like we've all been kind of feeling that. Burnout also is you being worn down by striving for unrealistic expectations. This is also called superachiever sickness. So basically, whenever the level of expectation is dramatically opposed to reality and the person keeps trying to reach that expectation, this is where you will find yourself on the path to burnout. So the way that this looks right now is a lot of people are trying to work from home. You also have to homeschool your kids. You're also seeing a million articles telling you to try and be your best self right now and be productive while you're at home, which it's nearly impossible to try and do all of those things, because all of those things on a normal day would be hard, but all of those things when you're already feeling so stressed and anxious about what's happening in the world is even more hard. So who does burnout affect? Well, burnout can affect anybody, but especially those in the helping profession are particularly prone to burnout. Now, right now, I would say any frontline worker, any essential worker who is still working is especially more prone to burnout. They're dealing with a high demand for services and their own stress reactions as well. So anyone can experience high levels of stress and demand, which can have an impact on their mental health. So burnout isn't exclusive to just any one particular profession. An example of some people in helping professions with the mindsets that lead to burnout would be, a teacher who's going to inspire every student, a nurse who's going to save every life, a lawyer who's going to win every case, a therapist who's going to fix every client's issues, even a business executive with high levels of ambition who are prepared to do kind of whatever it takes to become successful. You could see how this might set you up for failure, as these expectations are unrealistic and really leave no room for error. So when does burnout occur? So burnout begins with high ideals and expectations. Experiencing chronic stress, the cumulative effects of this stress can cause burnout. And like I said, not only did we have our daily life burnout before all this was happening and those stresses, but now we have the stress of everything that's going on with COVID-19. And the sequence continues when these people put out a high amount of energy to pursue your goals. And their efforts to produce rewards, which could be a praise, a promotion, a raise, even just satisfaction, which is all well and good. However, if they don't get the expected rewards, instead of stepping back to reevaluate their goals, potential burnout candidates will increase their effort and keep trying to reach that goal no matter what it takes. If the expected reward is still not forthcoming, then burnout symptoms start to appear. So why should we be aware of the signs of burnout? Well, sadly, many of the warning signs are missed along the way. Recently, we've been kind of talking about burnout and learning about burnout, but it's also not widely known yet. A lot of people also don't take it seriously when it is really serious. According to a national study, 1 in 4 Canadians report feeling stressed, with 60% of these identifying work as their primary stressor. It is a major source of absenteeism, mental health problems, and unhealthy work environments. The main factors that contribute to burnout are unrealistic expectations or trying to strive for perfectionism, over-identifying with your job, career, or title, a single-minded pursuit of goals, and also limited interest in activities beyond the area of focus. So right now I'm going to focus just a little bit on job burnout, because I know some people are still working, and even if you're not, this definitely plays a role for when you have been working or when you will start again. So what causes job burnout specifically? Well, this could be lack of control. So this is an employee's lack of influence on decisions that affect their job. So this could include your hours of work, what assignments you receive, and an inability to control the amount of work that comes in. Right now, I know a lot of us are feeling this lack of control, because you don't know, are you going to be laid off? Are you still going to have a job? And I think a lot of our jobs are starting to look a lot different, because either we've cut down on staff, or other places are so busy you're having to take on more responsibility. And this kind of goes into the next one, which is unclear job expectations. So right now, a lot of people I know are kind of being put into roles that they aren't necessarily in on a normal day-to-day basis. But with people kind of being stressed and having their own stuff to worry about, they aren't really walking you through what needs to be done, what you should be doing. So you really are just kind of playing it by ear, trying to figure out what your expectations are as you go. Another cause of job burnout is dysfunctional workplace dynamics. So this could include working with an office bully, being undermined by colleagues, or having a boss who micromanages your work. Another thing is mismatch in values. So if personal values differ from the way an organization does business or handles employee grievances, it'll wear on employees because they don't agree with the path that the organization is taking. Also, poor job fit. So an employee working in a job that doesn't fit their interest and skills is certain to become more and more stressed over time. If you don't have the skills for that job, you're going to find it frustrating because it's hard for you to excel at that job. If you don't have an interest in that job, you're also going to be more stressed because you don't really care about it. You're just kind of doing it for money and what you need. Also, extremes of activity, and this is coming into play a lot right now. So when a job is always monotonous or chaotic, an employee needs constant energy to remain focused, and that leads to an energy drain and job burnout. So right now, with a lot of the frontline workers, everybody who's essential, they're kind of crazy busy right now. They're constantly going. And other places that might be open, but don't really have as much business going on, it's more monotonous. You're more kind of wondering what to do, fishing for things to do. And both lead to burnout because it's a lot of energy to keep going all the time, and it's a lot of energy to keep finding things to do all the time and finding productive things to do that keep you from, getting bored or not doing any work at all. So now I want to talk a little bit about the stages of burnout. So the first stage, what you'll first start to feel is you'll feel fatigue, you'll feel decreased performance at work, and you'll begin to experience some stress symptoms. So this is the early stage of stage 1. And then the later stage is you will start to feel exhausted, frustrated, and even disillusioned. So this is the feeling of disappointment resulting from the discovery that something is not as good as you once believed it to be. If burnout goes untreated, then it can go into stage 2. So this is denial, impaired judgment, blaming others, defensiveness, apathy, which is a lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern, cynicism, and even depression. And then the last stage of burnout is stage 3, where you're experiencing disorientation, despondency, which is a state of low spirits caused by loss of hope or courage, despair, disengagement, distancing, and dullness. So now that you have a more general idea of what burnout is and kind of the different symptoms and stages that go with it, I want to talk to you more about prevention. So the 3 main things that you can do to prevent burnout are balance, energy management, and realistic expectations. So balance is involvements with your family and friends, activities such as exercise and hobbies, trying to make sure that you have something going on in all areas of your life. So if one area is stressing you out, you can go and find relief in other areas of your life. You also want to monitor and manage your energy. So we just learned that fatigue and exhaustion are stage 1 symptoms of burnout. So it's important to know your energy levels, and if you're starting to feel a little bit tired, maybe go, okay, is this burnout? Is this something else? So maybe I should try and focus on getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising regularly, and just checking in with yourself to see how you're feeling. And the third part of prevention is setting realistic expectations for yourself. Realizing everything won't always go smoothly. We need to evaluate our goals and expectations and do a reality check so that we don't overinvest our time and effort in things that might not work out. And if you keep clinging to unrealistic goals and you fail to reach them, you're just going to feel devastated when that happens. So like I talked a little bit about at the beginning with the example of people have to work from home, they have to homeschool a kid, they also should be productive and try to make the most with this time while feeling stressed. All of that is completely unrealistic. I mean, homeschooling your kid is basically a full-time job right there. Working from home is basically a full-time job right there. Trying to take care of your mental health right now with everything going on in the world is basically a full-time job. So trying to fit 3 full-time jobs into one day is very unrealistic. So you have to kind of look at where you can give and take from this and make sure that you have realistic expectations for yourself. You know, you may not be the most productive at work and get your kids' schoolwork all done and have great mental health every single day. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of a burnout example. So I want you to meet Joe and Claire. So Joe owns his own local business. As the pandemic started happening, Joe's business slowly started to lose customers, and he had to start laying off employees kind of one by one. When Joe's business was deemed non-essential, he had to close. He had 10 employees, all of which were laid off after the closure. Because he had to close, he does not have any money coming in, and he has had to lay off all of his employees. Joe worries about how to build his business back up after the pandemic and how to keep maintaining his business right now while the pandemic is going on. This is all Joe can think about day and night. He's constantly trying to look for grants or different business ideas to help him with this. Joe begins to ignore his family and focus only on this, and he begins to feel very depressed and has a hard time sleeping. Joe becomes irritable and snaps on his family, which causes more tension in the house. Eventually, Joe has an emotional breakdown. Now I want you to meet Claire. Claire is one of Joe's employees. Like Joe, Claire is already feeling anxious and stressed about the pandemic and what that means for her and her loved ones. Before the business closed, things were slowing down. Around her, she saw employees being laid off one by one. Every day she felt stressed and anxious that she would be the next one laid off. She wondered how she was going to afford all of her bills and basic necessities. These worries kept Claire up at night and even impacted her performance at work. She constantly felt nauseous and had headaches. So what could Claire and Joe do to help with their symptoms of burnout? Well, the first thing that I think is really key right now with this pandemic is radical acceptance. So this is just accepting that things are as they are. You know, there's nothing we can do to completely change the pandemic individually. We can all play our part, but there's nothing one individual person can do to get this whole thing to go away and this whole thing to end. So Joe and Claire need to realize this is the situation going on, and they just have to accept it. They can create a balance with their life. So while worrying is hard to get rid of, it is important to still have time for yourself and your family. So Joe could set limits on how much grants he's looking for, different business ideas, you know, set it to the 9-to-5 work week. Then try and spend time with his family. Try and do things that he enjoys doing. Try and engage in self-care activities to help him distract himself from his constant worrying. And Claire could even reach out to a financial counselor to help kind of put her mind at ease when it comes to the financial struggles. They could both reach out and talk to loved ones and engage in different self-care activities, because distraction and self-care can help them mentally, emotionally, and physically with their reactions that they're having to the stress and the anxiety from the pandemic and the eventual closure of the business. So I want you to take a moment to just look at these questions. These are questions you can ask yourself if you believe you're experiencing job burnout. So have you become cynical or critical at work? Do you drag yourself to work and have trouble getting started once you arrive? Have you become irritable or impatient with coworkers, customers, or clients? Do you lack energy to be consistently productive? Do you lack satisfaction from your achievements? Do you feel disillusioned about your job? Are you using food, drugs, or alcohol to feel better or to simply not feel? Have your sleep habits or appetite changed? Are you troubled by unexplained headaches, backaches, or other physical complaints? If you answered yes to several of these questions, you may be experiencing burnout, and you may want to adjust or add in some self-care techniques and plan on changing up your routine. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. So I want to talk a little bit about handling burnout. So the first thing to do is try and figure out what's making you feel burnt out in your life. Once you've identified what's fueling your feelings of burnout, you can make a plan to address the issues. And it may be more than one thing that's burning you out. You know, maybe the pandemic, maybe working from home, going to the grocery store. Just make a list of everything that you think is contributing to your burnout. And then you can evaluate your options. So what can you control? Can you control your work hours from home? Can you control what work you do from home? You can isolate and practice social distancing, so that can help ease your chances of not catching this virus. You can work from home. You can make and wear a mask when you go out to try and ease that anxiety as well. And the next step is adjusting your attitude. So when we're stressed and fearful, we become irritable and we can even become hateful. I know a lot of you have probably seen in the news a lot of people not practicing social distancing, a lot of people going out, and that creates a lot of hate and a lot of negative reaction towards them because they're not taking it seriously, but you're stuck in your house. So even if you were to look out on the street and you see 6 people walking, you might start getting angry, going, why are they there? I'm not going out. I'm staying in my house. They should be too. They're not following this. But you don't necessarily always know the situation. You know, it's different when you saw all the students partying for spring break. Yeah, that created some animosity. That I could understand being mad about. I was mad about that. But if you see a family of 6 walking, how do you know that they don't all live together? How do you know that this is the first time they've been out in forever and they had to get out before they all just snapped on each other? Even if you look at grocery stores, you know, there's been reports of one person going 3 or 4 times a day, but you never know because that person could be buying food for other people in the community, more vulnerable people in the community. But people would look at him and be like, oh my God, he's in here for the 3rd or 4th time. How much groceries does he need? So it's really important to try and look at things from different perspectives, especially right now when it's making us look at the more negative perspectives in our life. And everybody just needs to try and be kind to people right now. You know, especially the grocery store clerks, everybody who's frontline worker, everybody's feeling stressed and everybody's going to be irritable and have a negative reaction. So it's important to kind of not add on to your own burnout and to everybody else's burnout by having the same negative reactions all of the time. Try and give people the benefit of the doubt and try and just be as kind as you can. The next step is seeking support. So whether you reach out to coworkers, friends, or loved ones, support and collaboration might help you cope with stress or feelings of burnout. If you have access to an employee assistance program or healthcare benefits, you can take advantage of those services. Even right now, you'll see so many clinics are offering telehealth or video counseling. And I know it seems scary and weird. I mean, as a therapist, it was weird for me at the beginning too, and I didn't like it. But it's what we have right now, and it actually can be very helpful for people. So a lot of the services you'll see have either been reduced or actually free. So if you're feeling like you need to reach out, you can reach out. And you know what? If you don't like the phone or the video, then you don't have to do it again. But at least making sure that you can talk to your friends or you can talk to your family, making sure you have somebody there to help support you. You can also assess your interests, skills, and passions. So you know, what are you interested in? Is there a new skill you've been wanting to learn or build on during this time? Is there anything new you want to try? We're kind of in a weird place right now where the world is trying to tell us to take a break. And it's hard sometimes to do anything with that, but you can use it to kind of figure out yourself again. You're not just focused on work, unless unfortunately you're still working. But for those of you that aren't working, you could take this time to be like, okay, what do I like? Is there something I do want to get involved in? Are there new hobbies I want to try, even if I can try them now or if I want to try them when this is all over? You can kind of use this time to rediscover yourself and kind of create these hobbies and these leisure activities you have that can help further prepare you to prevent burnout in the future. Get some exercise. So regular physical activity can help you better deal with stress. It can also help you get your mind off of work and focus on something else. And I know that's what everybody says is, oh, work out, work out, work out. And a lot of people are like, hey, no, I'm the same way. You tell me to work out, I'm not going to work out. But that first week when everything was hitting the fan and I went home exhausted, I made myself work out for a half hour every time I got home from work. And what happened was my energy levels went back up. My happiness increased a little bit because I wasn't thinking about COVID-19 and what was happening and how it's going to hit our country like I'd just been working on all day. I was able to distract myself, get my mind out of everything for half an hour, and the physical activity kind of helped get my body out of the tired fatigue. So that actually really helped. And also important to get some sleep. You know, sleep restores well-being and helps protect your health. Aim for at least 7 to 8 hours each night, which I know can be hard, but it's important to do. So I keep kind of talking about self-care, and I'm sure you probably have a general idea of what it is, but I just want to kind of go into what it is a little bit more. So self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. Self-care is something that refuels us rather than takes from us. And it's not a selfish act either. It's not only about considering our needs, it's rather about knowing what we need to do in order to take care of ourselves and subsequently being able to take care of others as well. So you can't pour from an empty cup. If we don't take care of ourselves, we won't be in the place to give our loved ones the support they need either. So we're going to talk a little bit especially about self-care during COVID-19. So like I said, it's important to try and find things that you like to do, but this can be hard when you're kind of limited to your house. But you can look around your house. Is there kind of a project you want to do? Is there painting or drawing or beading or gardening even? Something that's inside around the house that relaxes you. You know, mine, I wish I had a bathtub at the place I'm living in, but unfortunately it doesn't. But my big thing for self-care is taking a bubble bath. You know, shutting everybody out, listening to music, and taking a bubble bath for half an hour. Even just doing little things like that can help yourself feel better. And you know what, we can't really see people, but even calling, messaging, or video calling friends and families can help a lot. Because then you can still talk to them, you're still in contact with them. It may not be in person, but you still have that connection. Also spending time in the backyard. And this is just especially outside. So, you know, you can go for walks and hikes while practicing social distancing. But some people don't even like to do that. But even just stepping out on your steps and trying to spend some time outside. Right now it's spring, so it's really hit or miss on the weather. But as long as it's nice out, feeling the sun on your face, feeling the fresh air, that's really going to help you feel better, especially when you're stuck inside all the time. It really kind of helps just bring you back to life. Also spending time with pets, you know, they are probably so happy that everybody is home right now. I know my dog is. He won't leave me alone. He has to constantly cuddle with me as I'm trying to do my work. And that's good. You know, play with your pets. Give them this extra time. Spoil them a little bit more. They'll be sad when things return to normal, but it's good because it's giving you that love and attention that you need and the love and attention that they need too. And it's also a really good distraction. So I want to talk about a few more tips for avoiding burnout. So be proactive, you know, make a decision to create balance and to create your self-care plan as a top priority. What I want you to do after the seminar is over, my homework for all of you is to do that. I want you to make a list of things that you think will help your self-care. Whether you've done them before, whether you just think they might, make a list. And I want you to try and do at least one of those things every day. And I want you to make sure you schedule it as one of the most important things to do that day so that it has to get done. And I want you to see how your mood changes, your physical, mental health change after about a week or two of doing something for your self-care every single day. And this goes into scheduling self-care. So it can range widely from medical checkups to pleasurable hobbies, time alone, or so forth. It also doesn't have to be a 6-hour adventure hike or an hour meditation. It could be just 5 minutes outside in the backyard. It could be just a quick shower away from the kids. The little things do count. So always keep this in mind. Even if you take just 2 minutes to close your eyes and take a deep breath, this can make a profound difference in the way you feel, because it's taking you out of the stress that you're caught in and helping you take a step back and put your mindset more at ease. Make your health your top priority. So ensure you're getting enough sleep, choosing nutritious foods, and moving your body daily, even if it's just a brisk walk around the house. Now, I know right now we may not be the healthiest. Either we aren't being very active, or like me, you're ordering takeout a lot, but trying. You know, you don't have to be the perfect in shape person eating healthiest all the time, but at least trying to be mindful and making more of those decisions. Also tuning in to your body and your body sensations. Your body sensations have valuable information. So listen to these messages and attend to what your body and mind need. You're the expert on yourself. Nobody else can tell you what you need. Your body and your mind are going to be the ones telling you what you need. Learn to say no. So I know this one's hard for a lot of people, but you don't have to agree to do everything everyone asks or invites you to do. Keep in mind that saying no or declining an offer is completely acceptable. And people have to realize this. Like we just talked about, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're completely tapped out, you have to say no. You can say no, and people will understand that. Sure, some people might get a little angry at first, but it's just setting boundaries with them. And the more you stick to saying no when you need to, they'll understand, because usually you're probably always there saying yes. And it's not that you'll always say no, but they'll learn that when you say no, it's because you have a good reason. It's because you need to say no for your own mental health, and they should respect that. Also consider the company you keep. So take a look at the people around you. Do they encourage you? Do they support you? Are they caring? Do they attend to their own self-care? Or do they place unreasonable demands on you, or drain you, or criticize you? The people you spend time with do have an effect on you, so choose wisely. Step away from the screens. So spend some time outdoors the most you can, or even just doing yoga, or having some family time. Just anything to step away from, TV, phones, laptops, etc. It can be rejuvenating. Reach out for help. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you're experiencing burnout, personal counseling, or even just talking to a friend or family member can make the world of difference. They can help you feel like you're not alone. They can help validate what you're going through. And they can help give you suggestions on what you should be doing. They can keep you accountable on your self-care plan. Well, have you been doing this and this? Well, you should probably try. And the "I'm too busy" excuse is not valid. So no matter how busy you are, you should always make it a priority to take care of yourself first. In order to help others or to perform a job productively, it is essential to be placed as number one in your life. Whether it be a small act for yourself or scheduling in time on a break for meditating, make sure that you're getting the self-care that you deserve. Your body. But I want to talk about that a little bit further with self-awareness. So what is self-awareness? Self-awareness involves being aware of different aspects of the self, including traits, behaviors, feelings. Essentially, it's a psychological state in which you become the focus of attention. So why should we be self-aware? Well, when you are self-aware, you can see where your thoughts and emotions are guiding you. It allows you to take control of your actions so that you can make the necessary changes to get the outcomes you desire. This may include changes in your emotions, your behavior. Until you achieve this, you'll have a hard time making changes in the direction that your life is taking you. So if I was going to go back to my example of me feeling exhausted after work, my body's telling me, stop, I need a break. There's too much information coming in that's not positive, and I'm just feeling drained and utterly exhausted. So I have to learn, okay, I'm not going to go and do more things that are going to drain me. I'm not going to come home and turn on the news and watch that for another 5 hours, because that's not going to help me. That's just going to drain me even more. I need to try to do something that's going to lift me out of this, that's going to put more fuel into me. And for me, that ended up being exercising. For others, it might be something different. But paying attention to what your body needs is crucial, because it knows what you need and it will tell you. So how do we better develop and increase self-awareness? Well, you can try and look at yourself as objectively as possible. So we can never truly see ourselves objectively just because we have our own biases. But when you are able to see yourself from different perspectives, you can learn how to accept yourself and find ways to improve for the future. You can also keep a journal. So recording your thoughts on paper can help to relieve your mind of those ideas that keep swirling around, and it clears it up to make space for new information. As you reflect, you can take time to think about how you are as a leader, how you are working with people, how people likely view you, what you do to help other people, if you could do more, what are your values, what is the thing that's most important to you right now. So even taking a look at that, what's important in your life right now? What do you value the most? And do those come across to other people? Can other people see that those are your values and those are your goals right now? Write down your goals, plans, and priorities. So plan out your goals in a worksheet so that they turn from ideas into a step-by-step process. Break down your larger goals into smaller goals so that it seems less overwhelming. But actually try and make a plan to reach your goals instead of just saying, I'm going to have a garden this year. Perfect. What are the steps you need to do to get that garden? Do you need to research what plant you're going to put in? Do you have to get the soil ready? And just doing it step by step, okay, this day I'll research what I want to put in. This day I'll go and buy the seeds. Next week I'll get the soil ready. It's just breaking it up into smaller pieces so it seems less daunting and overwhelming. Also practice meditation and other mindfulness habits. So you've probably heard meditation and mindfulness to death from every clinical practitioner out there. But meditation is the practice of improving your mindful awareness. So some types of meditation focus on the breath. So you've probably heard a lot of deep breathing, belly breathing, but not all meditation has to be formal. You can always find great clarity just from regular moments of reflection. So, taking some time just to think about yourself, just to think about the day. If you want to try guided meditation, there are also a lot of apps that are free if you're interested in. I know there's Insight Timer and there's Calm. They have like in-app purchases, but that's usually what I recommend for my clients because that's what I've actually used. They go from like 2-minute meditations to like, I don't even know, 5 hours or something crazy. But even just starting small and seeing if you like it, seeing if it's something that helps you. They even just have the nature sounds. Like I like listening, falling asleep to rain, even though my fiance blasts his YouTube videos, when he's not doing that and I'm having trouble sleeping, I'll put on the rain sounds. And even just having that rain, it puts me in kind of a meditative state and helps me to fall asleep. It relaxes me. You can also take personality and psychometric tests. So these are pretty fun. I'm sure we've all kind of done this at some point, but you could take these tests to help understand what traits you have. Some popular tests that are aimed at increasing self-awareness include the Myers-Briggs type indicator, So that's the one where it's like ENFJ or whatever the letters are. But there's a bunch out there that you can see. And that's a cool way just to gain some perspective as to who you are and kind of what traits you're really good at and what traits you don't really have too much. You can also ask trusted friends to describe you. So keyword is on trusted here. You don't want somebody who's just going to tear you down and make you feel like an awful person. You want to do it with somebody who you trust, who you know will give you honest feedback. So how are we supposed to know what other people think of us? We have to listen to the feedback of our peers and mentors and let them play the role of an honest mirror. Tell someone you are seeking open, honest, critical, and objective perspectives. Allow them to feel safe while they're giving you the information, and thank them for their honest review. They also are probably wondering if you're going to get mad depending on what you tell them. So, just put those ground rules at the beginning. I want to know. Obviously, they won't be mean about it. You won't get mad about it. It's just kind of a more factual, if you were looking at a character in a book, you can even distance it that way. What characteristics does this character have? What could this character do to maybe be more personable or be more active? And just talk about it that way. You can also ask for feedback at work. So, in addition to consulting friends and family, you can use a formal process at work to get some feedback. And formalized feedback can allow you to self-reflect on your own strengths and weaknesses. So ultimately, burning out, self-care, and self-awareness are interconnected. To avoid burning out, having strong self-awareness is key. Listen to yourself, know what you can and cannot take on, and listen to your body. With your knowledge you have gained through self-awareness, you can implement self-care into your daily routine to avoid burning out. Always remember that your mental health is the priority and should be treated as equal to your physical health. Take burnout seriously and try your best to prevent it before it happens. Especially right now, with everything going on, self-care is a must. I don't care if you had absolutely no stress before this happened. This is impacting you in some way. Everybody's feeling some kind of stress because of this. And it's what we do with that stress. Do we let it linger? Do we let it fester in us? Or do we try and find ways to deal with it? Exercising, engaging in self-care activities you like, limiting the amount of news you read. I used to have to catch every thing that Trump did at 11 a.m. in the morning. And I got to the point where why? He's basically saying the same stuff. If he says something new, I'll read it in an article. So really kind of limiting your news intake and all of that information that's coming in, because that can really help amp up the stress and amp up the fear in you. So it's important to realize and just pay attention right now to what your limits are. Pay attention to your body, your mental state, your physical state, and see what it needs. If you aren't sure what it needs, just try things. Try something you think might be relaxing. See if that helps at all. Try different things to see what works for you for self-care. And that is very essential during this time so that we all don't completely just freak out and have a hard time getting back to life after.